What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Lesser Athletes. My name is Chadwell, and today, like always, an interesting video for you here on the channel. Yes, I am doing my way too early card predictions for SummerSlam 2025. Today is March, so end of March. So let's just say, well, I guess it's not. Let's just say it's the beginning of April. We have 4 months before SummerSlam. It's nice to do a way too early card before the second biggest event in the year calendar for WWE. So we're going to have a card prediction for you for SummerSlam 2025. I am going to say that this is way too early. WrestleMania hasn't even happened. There's going to be some changes for WrestleMania. A lot of stuff hasn't happened as well. We're going to talk about it. It's fun to fantasy book. Why not just make some SummerSlam predictions? Yeah, a month or 4 months and a week away. Why not? So let's start off with who I think is going to be one of the main events in SummerSlam. Now, we're going to have a lot of champions. A lot of champions. Because, truthfully, I don't really know the feuds that could happen. Most of these are all championship matches. And also, there's a lot of matches because it's a 2-night event. So you're probably looking at 6 to 7 matches, maybe 5 to 7 matches, somewhere around there. So let's talk about. I think John Cena will be champion at WrestleMania, and I think what makes the most sense for SummerSlam if they do Money in the Bank against CM Punk is Randy Orton. Maybe it's Cody Rhodes rematch. I could see that as well. I don't want that entirely, truthfully, being honest with you. I just think that John Cena going against Randy Orton, Punk, or Cody is going to be the SummerSlam match. I don't think anything else is going to be the SummerSlam match. I'm guessing they really are going to do Punk and Cena for Money in the Bank. I think they could do Cena and Randy Orton at Backlash in St. Louis. I think it could be Cody Rhodes for SummerSlam, but I don't want to recall a rematch. I want to talk about a different possibility, a new possibility, and that is, of course, John Cena versus Randy Orton. I'm predicting it, but I could also see it happening later on in the retirement tour. Up next, we have Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton. I have to be honest with you. Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton, I think, is going to be an insanely good WrestleMania match. I think the only worry about that feud is that do people get mad that Charlotte Flair wins the match? In my opinion, I don't think they should, because I think it's going to be long-term storytelling that Tiffany Stratton wins it back at SummerSlam against Charlotte Flair. I think that is honestly where you're most likely to go, and Tiffany Stratton has this big babyface run throughout the whole summer and wins it at the end of, I guess, summer, but the beginning of August, which is still technically summer. And yeah, that's where I would go with this, and I think Charlotte Flair would make a lot of sense as a great heel, and that's where it just makes the most sense in my opinion. I really do believe that's where it makes the most sense. You could go maybe Becky Lynch for Charlotte Flair. You could maybe have Tiffany Stratton have this title for a while and have her going against another legend. Maybe that's Becky Lynch. That would be a pretty good match. Maybe it's Rhea Ripley versus Tiffany Stratton. Whatever it might be, I just believe Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton is the most likely way we're going for SummerSlam. Up next, we have a United States Championship match. I think Jacob Fatu could have the U.S. title by SummerSlam. I think it could be by WrestleMania. If they don't give it to him then I could see it. They wait and they give him a little bit of time and then give it to him at a PLE. I just think Jacob Fatu will go and have the U.S. title for a while, and I'm going to guess that at SummerSlam there's going to be a meaningful match either against Jimmy Uso separately or Solo Sikoa separately or them all together. I really like them all together because I want a Jimmy Uso pin on Solo so you protect Jacob Fatu. I think it's the way that Braun Breaker has the title. I think to protect the person, a triple threat is the best way to go, where you can still keep growing the person and say they haven't gotten pinned. Jacob Fatu could be in that way, kind of the person not getting pinned, and instead you have Jimmy Uso being the one to really get his U.S. title and get really the singles push late in 2025 by taking out Jacob Fatu, but only pinning Solo Sikoa, so you continue that feud with Jacob Fatu and Jimmy Uso. Now, that's just my prediction for this. I just believe that Jacob Fatu will have the U.S. title. I wonder if they go a different route, though. Up next, we have for the women's U.S. title, it is Naomi versus Jordynne Grace. Heel Naomi's here. I'm hoping she gets a huge push. I wonder if they do Chelsea Green versus Naomi later on in the summer to get Naomi that title, and Naomi, with a called up Jordynne Grace, goes against each other and kind of really sparks some TNA kind of feuds that they had. I really think it could be an interesting way to get Naomi to have the title for a little bit. Maybe she goes for a main title after that. But then you have Naomi, which she's actually one of my favorites to win Money in the Bank, so maybe it's not that and she wins Money in the Bank instead. But I have maybe Naomi with the championship. Jordynne Grace wins the championship here, and I think it could be a big push of Jordynne Grace, and I think that U.S. title would look perfect on her. Up next, we have the tag titles, the WWE tag titles. DIY as champion versus Fraxium. So my thought process, too, about this was I think they're going to split up a lot of the SmackDown title tag teams and push them to Raw to really start growing that Raw side of the tag teams. I think DIY stays at SmackDown. I think Street Profits will stay, and I think DIY Pretty Deadly will stay. I think they're going to split up Motor City Machine Guns to put them on Raw. I was going to say maybe Fraxium goes to Raw to really build up that tag team division, but maybe Pretty Deadly goes to, but I think they could win the tag titles. If Street Profits lose the tag titles, then I would have Street Profits go to Raw. If they don't, then I would have them still on SmackDown. And then you have DIY versus Fraxium, and I think DIY wins the tag titles later on in the year to have Fraxium versus DIY, a championship and a tag team match. I think a lot of people would want, and I think this would be a way for Fraxium to win the gold and Fraxium to start being an amazing tag team in WWE. No jokes, not even joking, not even kidding around. I think Fraxium was the best tag team in all of WWE last year. And so if you have them on the main roster holding the tag titles as well, I think it's a great way on SmackDown that you could really grow these tag titles. And maybe you do it on Raw so they grow the tag titles. Either or, I think Fraxium will win tag titles in 2025. Up next, we have Jey Uso as champion, winning against Gunther, going against Drew McIntyre. Now, I think Jey Uso could lose the title before. I wouldn't be shocked if he loses the title before. But I have a stronger feeling that he just is going to hold it till SummerSlam because he's going to be, everyone's going to love him. He's going to be hot. He's going to be somebody that is going to be a main attraction. I think keeping the title on him for a while is okay. But I just have to believe Drew McIntyre could win the King of the Ring tournament. Maybe Randy's the one that actually wins King of the Ring, and I didn't really think about King of the Ring in this scenario, so maybe Tiffany wins King of the Ring, and that's how she goes to go against Charlotte. Maybe Drew wins King of the Ring, where Drew decides I am going after Jey Uso, and I'm winning the title that should have been mine at the very beginning. And Jey Uso did get a pin last time that they went against each other, most recently. So maybe you have Jey Uso losing the title to Drew McIntyre, and Drew McIntyre having a true reign with the World Heavyweight Championship, because in my opinion, it's long overdue for him to get that kind of championship run that he deserves. Up next, we have the women's side. I have Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley. And I'm going to explain why I have them, and I'm not going to explain why I don't have another one, which I'm going to talk about people left off, because there's a lot of people left off. Bianca Belair, I think, will win the championship at WrestleMania. And I think she's going to have some feuds against Io. I think she could have a feud against Rhea. I just really don't want to see it, because I want to wait till SummerSlam, where I ultimately believe is the place where you have Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley, or it's a WrestleMania. That is how big this match is by far. I think it's a really, and I mean really great way to have two big stars and your two best women's division players really in a match together is either SummerSlam or WrestleMania. I do not want to see this on just a Money in the Bank, even though it would be good. I don't want to see it at Money in the Bank. I don't want to see it at St. Louis Backlash. I'd rather have it, truthfully, Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley over here. Next, we have the Intercontinental title. Bronson Reed is going to be an X factor for this whole summer in all my predictions right now, because Bronson Reed, to me, once he comes back, should have a huge push. I think when people come back from injury, sometimes they have to earn, coming back. But at the same time, Bronson Reed left off really, really strong, showed his dominance. I have to be honest with you. I think he comes back to injury and starts looking like a main event player. And so if that's the idea and that's the case for Bronson Reed, I believe they could really push an Intercontinental push for him. Maybe it's against Penta, who maybe wins at WrestleMania. Maybe someone screws him over to have a Penta feud where Penta would be on this card, which he's not because there's not really feuds as much on here. I think obviously there could be. Another player because of injury that was gone was Ilya Dragunov, who supposedly has been really ramping up and looks like he could do very well and come back here soon. And that would be crazy if so. And if that is true, then maybe he comes back after the Raw after Mania, and we have Ilya Dragunov starting to really go after that IC title and maybe gets a match at SummerSlam to win it. I just think Ilya Dragunov is a future great player, and I really hope he wins gold, but I'm a little scared they're going to wait a while. I'm just going to be honest. I think it's going to wait a little bit till then. Bronson Reed is my X Factor because on my predictions over here, I have Bronson Reed winning Money in the Bank, my number one, which I said in December, which is crazy to say. I thought he'd come back literally like after Mania, so let's see. But, man, I think he's going to be a main player coming back. But he's going to win a mid-card title, if anything. Up next, we have the women's side of the IC title. I think Lyra Valkyria will lose her IC title for not a long time, but somewhere in the middle. I don't think it's going to be soon. I don't think it's going to be a long time. I think it's somewhere in the middle. And I think it's going to be to Becky Lynch. I think they're going to have a feud, and they're going to give Becky Lynch the title to really give a legend to the title and really grow the title. Because when Becky Lynch wins, I think she's going to be in some type of heelish character. And then I think Roxanne Perez is going to go for that at SummerSlam. Now, it is kind of crazy to say Roxanne Perez gets called up and then she wins the title and Jordynne Grace also wins the title. So maybe Jordynne Grace doesn't go for the title. Maybe Roxanne doesn't go for the title. But ultimately, and listen, I'm predicting this before Mania, the IC title for the women's match hasn't even really happened yet. So maybe somehow, some way, Roxanne Perez is in the mix for that. And if that's the case, then we'll see. But I ultimately believe Lyra Valkyria losing to Becky Lynch is probably the best way to go about it. And then you have Becky Lynch versus Roxanne Perez, and you give Roxanne maybe the flowers that she deserves going against a legend. Or you have Becky Lynch retaining no matter what. And then later on, they have Roxanne Perez go against Becky Lynch again. Or Roxanne Perez going somewhere else. I don't know. Just a theory and thought. Up next, we have Cody Rhodes versus Gunther. So this is going to be talking about now some feuds that I believe that's going to happen. I think there's only 2, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, now let me explain a lot of these. So originally, Cody Rhodes was like not on here at all. Because I started thinking and I was like, would Cody Rhodes maybe take a break and return at SummerSlam like last year? I think it's too fresh to do it from last year. Not going to happen. Or is he going to come back and fight against John Cena and immediately try and just keep going after John Cena? We'll see on that one. I think in my head, man, it's so hard. I just think in my head that more than likely, what's going to happen is John Cena beats Cody Rhodes, bleeds him, attacks him at the end of WrestleMania. That's how you end WrestleMania, with him winning, John Cena winning, and Cody Rhodes injured. Cody Rhodes leaves for a month or two, comes back in the middle, and then maybe goes for Cena, or before he goes against Cena, something else happens. So I'm at this road where I don't really know what to do with Gunther. Maybe he has a small feud. I think he should go after a title. Maybe he is going after Cena, and maybe he's the one to go after Cena. I just believe that, and this is just personally, Gunther's next story makes the most sense after losing against Jay to go after Cody Rhodes. And here's why. Gunther lost all credibility from the fans, lost a lot of his dominant streak, lost a lot of his title reign confidence from that loss from Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel. And because that is the case, I just have to believe, and I mean I have to believe, Gunther's next story would be, I lost everything and I lost that since that pin. You killed the confidence in me. I'm going to build myself up and beat you. And once he beats him, Gunther's ready for a new title reign. That's my thought process. I just don't think they're going to do it. But I think that makes the most sense with Gunther. I think if you don't know what to do with Gunther after this, is to go after Cody Rhodes and have the whole thing off of, I've lost some confidence and I'm going to build that confidence back up and show you I will destroy you. Just a thought. But I had somebody else against Gunther, and I'll talk about it in a second. Another feud I had was what to do with CM Punk or Braun Breaker. If Braun Breaker's now on the main event side, does Braun Breaker go against Jey Uso, and maybe he's the one that wins King of the Ring, and maybe that's how we get Jey Uso and Braun Breaker to go against each other, and Braun Breaker wins the heavyweight title immediately? Is that too fresh like Gunther? I feel like it is, so maybe that's not what happens. I'm a little stuck on this. What to do with CM Punk if he's not there for, John Cena? What do you do with Punk? Does he go against a new feud? Does he go for the world heavyweight title? There's so many questions. I have to believe that Braun Breaker should have a feud at SummerSlam, and it should be against a legend to put him over. Because once he gets that legend feud, and maybe that's Randy. Maybe that's the Randy match. And Braun Breaker beats Randy Orton. I just have to believe that if Braun Breaker I also was going to do Braun Breaker versus Gunther. I thought that would be a great match. Gunther versus Ilya, I thought could be a match. There's so many ways you can go with this. But I have to believe that if Breaker goes against Punk and beats Punk because maybe there was some shenanigans against Punk as well, it's a big win and could elevate after SummerSlam Breaker to legitimately go after a title or momentum for maybe Royal Rumble win. Just a thought. I just don't know what to do with them. So now let's talk about people that weren't in here. I don't have in this picture Io Sky. Don't know at all what to do. If it's not a title, maybe she's going after mid-card titles. There's people off the top of my head I'm probably leaving out. Damian Priest could be one. I don't have Seth Rollins included because I originally had him for Gunther, and then I thought, what would happen with Cody Rhodes? And then that's when I put Cody Rhodes there. So don't know what could happen with Seth Rollins, and that's kind of the story of what happened last year with Seth Rollins. No one really knew what was going to happen with Seth Rollins. Instead, maybe Seth Rollins versus Ilya Dragunov. That's a match that a lot of people wanted. I have Jade Cargill not here and LA Knight not here because I think they're favorites to win Money in the Bank. And so I believe these are the two I'd right now pick to win Money in the Bank. Jade Cargill, probably especially. I think her entering 2026 is either her winning a title before cashing in some shape, way, or form. Maybe it is this match right here. So then she cashes in on Bianca and Rhea. So Jade and Rhea could be a possibility in the future. And Jade and Bianca could be a possibility in the future. And maybe Jade wins. And then my other thing is LA Knight winning, I think makes a ton of sense. And I think he's a huge favorite. So I just think by 2026 for Jade Cargill at least, her going from, what is it called? Why am I blanking? Her going from 2026, maybe she cashes in, or she has this match with Bianca here in SummerSlam. That makes a lot of sense. Or she wins a title from the Royal Rumble win. Just predictions there. LA Knight, I see winning Money in the Bank, and I specifically like it because if Drew McIntyre wins, LA Knight versus Drew McIntyre could be a feud we could see in the future if LA Knight cashes in on Drew McIntyre, which I think he should, not immediately at SummerSlam, but later on in life. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.